From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Brayden Neville.
Hello and welcome to Ticats Today on the Ticats Audio Network. I'm Brayden Neville and life's good right now. The weather's nice. My skin isn't so pale. We also have two big guests on today's show, including head coach and president of the Hamilton Ticats, Orlondo Steinauer, and special teams coordinator, Jeff Reinebold. We also were at rookie camp today, and I got the chance to catch up with two interviews we had from last week, Dayton Black and Reece Martin. And as I said, rookie camp was today. I got to see some of those rookies out there getting their reps in. They were wearing the black and gold for the first time. Those guys were getting familiar with each other, getting familiar with the coaching staff. And a big treat, Bo Levi Mitchell was out there tossing the ball around, and it was great to see him in those Hamilton Ticats colors wearing that famous 1-9. It was an hour session today, so guys were just kind of scratching the surface a bit on what they can do out there. But it was also nice to catch up with two familiar faces, Reece Martin and Dayton Black. And I asked them about what they thought about the city of Hamilton and their first day at rookie camp. So how was the first day out there?
Oh, it's definitely a different culture, different mindset, but it's enjoyable. Like, I'm first day and get shaking the rust off a little bit, but it's a new game. But I'm excited to be out here. I'm excited for a lot more ball.
How was the pace and intensity out there?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a couple steps higher, but this is pro ball. You got to get used to it. And first day, just like I said, shake off the rust. Gonna get better every day.
Getting to be in the city. Talk to me a little bit about being here in Hamilton.
Oh yeah, it's definitely way bigger than Sackville, that's for sure. Definitely a couple more traffic stops, but I love the culture. Like, nice, huge city, bigger than anything I've ever known.
And actually getting to experience the coaching from the coaching staff today, what was that like?
No, it's there's a reason why they're here. Like, they know what they're talking about, and I have a lot to learn, and I'm eager to soak it all up like a sponge.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, Reece.
Okay, thank you very much.
How does it feel finally being in the city?
Oh, it's amazing. That last week after the draft there, I was getting pretty anxious to get out here, and finally to be out here on turf with all the boys, it's amazing.
How was practice? How was the pace out there with the guys?
Oh, good. I'm used to it. I'm ready to work hard, go, no breaks, so I'm all for it.
Was there any familiar faces out there for you today?
Oh, yeah, I got my boy Caleb Morin from East Sask there and a couple other guys we've played throughout university. And, yeah, well, I met Bo. When I was out here on that visit, so seeing him and all the boys, it's awesome.
And so just tell me a little bit about actually getting to experience the coaching from the coaches out there on the field.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. They know every little thing, right? And they're picking up on every little detail, so there's no room for mistakes because they're going to get you on it. So, I'm just trying to be my best every rep I can be.
Any noticeable differences at this level?
Oh, just the critique. Like, every little thing's very important, right? They don't let anything go for granted. So, just step by step right now.
Awesome, Dayton. Well, I appreciate you joining me, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
No problem. Thank you.
Very nice getting to chat with Dayton and Reece after their first CFL experience, that first taste of the CFL, even if it is just rookie camp. They'll be back tomorrow for the last day of rookie camp, and then that's right, on Sunday, the main camp kicks off with all your favorite Ticats players. My next guest was there, and I have to say, was just a solid dude to talk to, and that's newly announced special teams and defensive back coach Jeff Reinebold, who returned this season to the Hammer for his 7th season with the Cats. Coach was calm, cool, and collected as I talked to him about the upcoming season, returning to Hamilton, and the upcoming training camp. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. It is a beautiful day in the Hammer, and I'm sitting on Lock Street having a cup of coffee. It don't get much better. In 2 hours, I'll be at training camp, and that really will make the day right.
And speaking of training camp, what kind of preparations have been going into the start of training camp?
Well, it's always really extensive. From the end of one season to the beginning of another, it's just a whirlwind of activity, evaluating players, drafting new players, trying to improve your football team in every aspect. And I think the personnel guys and Orlondo and everybody in the organization has, done a great job this offseason of giving us our best chance as we head into this season.
Now you're back in Hamilton. Talk to me a little bit about the process and who you talked to about coming back for this upcoming season.
Well, I was over in Hawaii working at the University of Hawaii, and which is a very, very special place to me. I live in Hawaii in the off season, and I got a call from Orlondo, and he had mentioned that Craig had some things that he needed to take care of, and he asked me if I would be open to coming back. And, this place is so special, and this place has been so good to me that, and I have such a deep love for Orlondo, and, not just Orlondo, but Mark and Robin and Randy and Tommy and, JB and all the guys there and all the players, that it really, at first, it was like, wow, think about having the opportunity to do that. Because when I left that year, we had an influx of really young, talented kids. Nick Cross, we brought in Bailey Feltmate, Felix Grand Gauthier was new to the team. Bert was there. It was a whole turnover with young guys. And I thought at that time it would really be cool to have an opportunity to get those guys through their first contract, through 3 years. And I didn't know that I would get the chance to come back and do that. But, it's going to be fun to see those guys and how much they've grown. And I thought Craig did a great job with the special teams last year. And hopefully we can continue to build on what they've established.
And what are you looking at, and what are you looking to do to build on that heading into this season, that special teams?
Well, professional football is a unique situation. You have to prove yourself every year. It doesn't matter. I mean, we've got some great players. We've got some guys that are going to go into the Hall of Fame as soon as they're done playing. Simone Lawrence will finish this season in the top 10 in tackles in the history of the game. But every year you come back to training camp, you have to prove yourself. As a coach, you have to do it, and as a player, you have to do it. So the number one thing is we just got to go to work, and we've got to realize that the foundation that's been built here since 2013, and we came for the first time, we have had tremendous, tremendous success with our special teams. That is all about players. It has very little to do with coaching. And, the standard that was built here by guys like Mark Bestwick and, all of the Speedy Banks and, Delvin Bro, and, I could go through a million guys, that has to be reestablished in training camp. The way we do things, the way we work, the way we study, the way we prepare, the way we care about each other, the attention to detail. If you miss a step, and I think this is really important, maybe it transcends football and is a lot about life. When you miss a step in the process, then there's going to be a hole. And when there's a hole in pro football, it's going to get exploited. And so it's our challenge every day to, not just to come to work, but to go to work and, go to work at a high level. It's a symbiotic relationship that we have to have. We talk about, we use a term called gung ho, which is the U.S. Marines use it. It's actually a Chinese term for work together in harmony. And that's what we try and do every day. Coaches, players, equipment staff, trainers, everybody, and fans, everybody has a role.
Now, your relationship with Coach O and the rest of the coaching staff, obviously you're coming back. You're pretty familiar with them. Just talk to me about that.
O is an outstanding person, number one. And I didn't know him. I knew him when he came into the league as a player. I was the head coach at Winnipeg, and I remember watching him as a player, and I was really fascinated because he wasn't the biggest guy, wasn't the fastest guy, didn't have the greatest measurables, but man, oh man, he could make plays. He was so smart. He was instinctive, and he had a big smile. And, I said, I need to get to know that guy. Well, then I leave the league, come back in 2013, and he's in Toronto. And we won the East in Montreal that year and then lost to them. Scott Milanovic and that crew, and Orlondo was the defensive coordinator at that time. I had the opportunity to meet him for the first time and spend a little time with him. And then coming here in 2013 and working with him. And you really don't know a guy until you see him on a day-to-day basis. And just how intelligent he is, how he cares about people, how he puts other people first. He really is a servant leader. And one of the really greatest leaders I've ever been around. I've been around some Hall of Fame football coaches, and both NFL Hall of Fame and CFL Hall of Fame guys. And Orlando's ability to relate to people, to get the best out of people, to, mentor people, to build up people. I think those are the things that separate him from the other guys.
And finally, one last question. You've had a long CFL coaching career and a coaching career.
Easy now.
Sorry.
Buddy.
But I guess,
Easy now. Don't be throwing that around.
my question is, what is kind of the secret to the longevity in that as a coach?
Have good players. It's the same thing for, having success with your whatever position group you work with. Well, you first of all have got to have talent. And I have been so unbelievably fortunate to have been around some of the greatest that have ever played the game up here. When you look at the kickers, for example, that I've had an opportunity to work with, who's the first guy I worked with? Louis Pasaga, Hall of Famer. Who's the next guy I work with? Bob Cameron and Troy Westwood, Hall of Famers. Then I get to come back and it's, Brett Maher, it's Medlock, it's, it's been unbelievable. I mean, Ty Long, some of the best in the league. Same thing with returners. You start out and you got Corey Philpott, then you go to Gizmo Williams, and then you get, Speedy Banks, and then you get Frankie Williams, and now it's Lawrence Woods. So, I guess I've been able to hang around so long because I had such good players.
Well, Coach, I know there's a lot of players and a lot of fans excited to have you back this season, and I really appreciate you joining me today.
I appreciate that too. Oski wee wee.
Big thanks to Jeff Reinebold for joining me on the show today. Super cool guy. Looking forward to chatting with him around the field this season. Some more names were announced by the Ticats for new faces joining the coaching staff and maybe some familiar faces that are switching roles. 3-time Grey Cup champion Scott Milanovich will be joining the staff as a senior assistant coach. Assistant special teams coach Charlie Taggart returns to the coaching staff after spending 2022 as the club's assistant video coordinator. Defensive quality control coach Matt Tolver will also return to Hamilton after spending time with the organization way back in 2015-2016. Receivers coach Tim Smith and running backs coach Rob Payne, they'll round out the new additions to the 2023 Hamilton Ticats coaching staff. But I think it's about time we go to my next guest, and this guest needs no introduction. President of Football Operations and head coach Orlondo Steinauer, a.k.a. Coach O. Coach O, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Now, you had a busy offseason making a lot of moves. It seemed like every area was addressed. Why do you think it was important to go out and make such a splash in free agency?
Well, we just felt like there were some areas that needed to be addressed, and you don't always know what's going to be available. You don't always plan on doing those sorts of things. But, free agency, we had a whole bunch ourselves, and we knew the likelihood of retaining the majority of them may or may not be possible. And so you always have to be prepared to upgrade your football team where you can. And sometimes the upgrade is just a different body. It doesn't necessarily, you can't really predict the future on how things are going to turn out, but you do have to have a plan. And, I've got a great group. It's never a single decision. It's a collective around here, and we put our minds together. And again, you can only usually acquire what's available. So it was important to better our football team, period.
Now, obviously, one of those acquisitions and a big one, quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell. Just talk to me a little bit about what he brings to the team.
Yeah, Bo, first and foremost, is an outstanding person, and he takes football. It means a lot to him. Let's just say that football means a lot to him. He's a proven champion on the field. There's not much he hasn't seen. He's comes from a great organization. I know he's been well coached, and when you do that with surrounding him with talent and a work ethic like he has, it usually bodes pretty well. And so we're excited to have Bo here. And it's not always, again, in free agency, you didn't know what was going to be available. We thought that when we acquired the rights to him, it was a step in the right direction for us at the time with all the circumstances. And that way we weren't in that sort of so-called bidding war, which we could have very easily been in with a lot of other teams.
Now, also some new faces around the coaching staff this year. And the first one I want to get to is Jeff Reinebold, the new special teams coordinator and assistant backs coach coming back. Just let me know a little bit about him and what he'll bring to this team.
Well, Jeff and I started to develop a strong relationship when we joined the Hamilton staff in 2013. And of course, I've always knew who Jeff Reinebold was. And, I remember when he was the head coach in Winnipeg, and, his special teams have always been second to none. And then, I was able to add him on as a linebacker coach for a few seasons when I was the defensive coordinator here. And so I really got to learn Jeff first and foremost as a man. And then just his knowledge in football is top tier. And he's a great teacher. He's a great motivator. He demands excellence. He is experienced. I could just rattle off a lot of things. And so with the addition of Jeff, we welcome him back. And, Craig Butler did an outstanding job for us. Circumstances had it outside of football where he wasn't going to be able to return. And so when you're able to acquire somebody that understands your atmosphere, your environment, and your culture, and bring in a great teacher and man like Jeff, this was a no-brainer, and we were fortunate he was available.
And also you brought in a new receivers coach in Tim Smith. What do we have on him coming to the organization?
Yeah, Tim's going to bring a fresh perspective to things. We're going to take a little bit different approach at the receiver position this year. We're going to have 2 receiver coaches. And so Jared Baines will return to the receivers. In the previous year, he was coaching the running backs. And we just feel like this is something that we needed to address. And Tommy and I had some conversations about this and felt like this was a direction that we were at least willing to try to be better from a coaching standpoint. And, there's usually, 5, sometimes 6 people that you're watching on the football field. And, having a couple sets of eyes on it is very important. But, Tim is a former player at a high level, and actually was a Ticat for a little bit. And so he brings his own experience and uniqueness to the table when it comes to coaching. We're excited for Tim in his first year as a Ticat coach.
And now moving to the running back coach, that's Rob Payne. What do we have on him taking over the running backs coaching position?
Yeah, Rob was first brought to the attention by me when we were searching for a running back coach. And also, we were looking for somebody who was more than capable on the computer to do some things on that offensive side of the ball. We're looking to shuffle the workload a little bit, and his name kept popping up. So we thought we better have a listen. And, he has experience doing this with Jason Moss, and he did it in Saskatchewan, and he has some experience. And Mike Gibson also knew Rob. So this wasn't a necessarily a blind hire. And it's always about finding the right people to join your team. I think you can find the experience a lot easier sometimes than you can finding the right fit. So Rob was the right fit for us for 2023.
And now returning to the as the defensive quality control coach, we have Matt Tolliver. What was the talks about him bringing him back?
Again, we wanted to shuffle the workload a little bit, and Matt reached out via an email one time and just said if there was ever opportunity, he was looking to get back into football. Matt had been in the organization when I was a D coordinator, more in the special teams / video role, and he was looking to get on the field. And, after probably three weeks or so worth of conversations, 3 to 4 weeks of conversation, we found out it was going to be a fit for him. And, Mark, most importantly, it had to be a fit for Mark and the defensive staff. Again, reiterating that it is about finding the right person to join the team. So he's very familiar with our environment and how we like to get things done. So it was a natural fit there.
And then finally, the newest, another one of the newest additions, Scott Milanovich, joining as a senior assistant coach. Just talk to me about him a bit.
Well, Scott and I obviously go back to 2012 when I interviewed for the defensive back position when he became the head coach of the Toronto Argonauts. And, I was just really, really grateful that he was willing to come on board. It's always about timing. And, I have a great deal of respect for Scott. He's going to obviously help us tremendously in various ways that, I could be super specific, but I'll say that for another time. He's also been a head coach. He sat exactly in my seat and knows exactly. And until you've been in this seat, it's easy to give opinions and direction, but until you've sat in here, it's just unique when somebody has actually been here. And so those conversations will be extremely valuable to me. Obviously, he brings a wealth of knowledge, and when people get to know him, he's just an outstanding person. And so he'll be around for the majority of the time.
Now, training camp just around the corner. What have you been doing to get prepared for that?
Oh, nonstop meetings. And, there's so much more that goes into it than just blowing the whistle and all the players show up. Just a shout out to the whole operations team, to the whole coaching staff that's been grinding, the video department, the equipment department, strength and conditioning, therapy. It's just nonstop. They gotta organize the flights, all the behind the scenes stuff that we sign up for that you have to embrace and just love it. There's so much that goes into it than just the 2.5 hours that somebody may come out in training camp. So for me to list everything that goes into training camp would probably bore you and everybody listening, and maybe good for another show.
Well, obviously there's a lot of expectations around the team this year. How do you kind of get players to block that out and just focus on playing football?
Well, we have high expectations every year. That's really what it is, Brayden. It's every year the goal is always the same. We understand where the Grey Cup is. We're going to be fielding those questions all year. We won't run from them, but we're not going to focus on it, right? There's so much work to be done, starting with rookie camp tomorrow, before you even think about, hoisting a trophy or any of those things. It's exciting. And so it's really easy because looking that far ahead, you're just taking away from what the moment is right now and the work that needs to be done today.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you joining me today. I know you're super busy with everything going on, and I look forward to seeing you around the field.
Well, you're part of the team, so we make time for team members. So no challenge at all. Look forward to the next one.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Coach. Big thanks to Coach O for joining me on the show today. I also want to thank Jeff Reinebold for joining me, and Dayton Black and Reece Martin, because they took some time out of their day to chat with me on their thoughts and feelings on their first day of camp. If you're looking to check those guys out and the rest of the rookie class tomorrow, the doors will be open at 11:15 at Ron Joy Stadium, free of charge. Come on down, watch some of the newest Ticats. And if you're looking to watch on Sunday, whenever main training camp starts, you can do the same thing, 11:15, and once again, free of charge. I want to thank everyone for joining me today, and I want to thank you for listening, and make sure to tune in next time on Ticats Today for all your updates.